Hey guys, it's Core Ross and welcome to Switch News. Today we are talking about Season 2 of Year 8 of Rainbow Six Siege. And this to me is the biggest season of the year. It actually has a very good amount of content in it. And that of course includes the brand new Swedish operator, but we're also getting brand new additions to the shooting range that look incredible. We've also got the permanent arcade mode, which is also bringing in a surprise, and I'm going to go over what I think that is in this video. We're also getting a map rework to Consulate, and Frost is getting a rework as well. So let's begin with this Swedish operator. And I've got a range of threes here. First of all, I think this is going to be a male operator. I also think this is going to be an operator very connected to DMS. And of course, we've seen the comic that I've gone over before in previous videos where it actually teases this new operator. And I've also got the additional theory just based on the visual looks of the reactions of the operators, specifically Hibana and Thermite, who've both been in Team Rainbow for quite some time now. I think they recognize this Swedish operator. Now, there is in the lore and natural games a female Swedish operator. Like I say, I think this is going to be a dude, but it could well be this female operator, so that's a possibility. But my guess is this is going to be a male operator from Sweden, and my basic thinking here is that it's Demus, but they don't know it's Demus because Harry knew who Demus was and knew he was part of Rainbow Six, whereas the other operators, as far as we know from all the lore that's come out since then, they know his code name, but they don't seem to mention that he was part of Rainbow or anything like that. So I think they don't actually know his identity, and as such, I think he's going to sneak into Team Rainbow, pretend to be an old operator coming back to help them, and of course ends up being the bad guy. But that is a big far reach, so we'll see what happens there. Now let's talk about the thing I'm actually most interested about, and that is the permanent arcade playlist. So first of all, this is a game mode that was supposed to arrive last year. And if you remember, I do a reality check at the start of the year, and one of the things I brought up was, will this arcade playlist actually get delayed? Because right now there was, at that point, more than a year ago, there wasn't enough arcade game modes to actually make a permanent playlist. And they did add a few more in. Remember, they used to actually try and put an arcade playlist in every single season, but that stopped, as you will have noticed. So I did not expect the arcade game mode to actually make it into, last year. And of course, it got delayed into this year. And the question is, 1 year later, do we still not have enough game modes? So what I think here is there's going to be something else. And certainly during the live reveal, so watch this, the creative director actually mentions there's a surprise coming with this playlist.
So we talked about permanent arcade in year 7. It is coming season 2. This is a permanent space where you can try out all of the different arcades that we have in the game. And when it launches, we'll probably add a little extra to it as well.
Ooh. The mystery, the teases.
Now, I've got a couple of theories on what is going to happen here with this surprise. And the first one we'll go over is the most likely one. I think this solves all the problems and it's going to be super easy to do. And I give it the highest probability of actually happening. That is to bring in event game modes. Ones that are simple, like team deathmatch style stuff. So for instance, Showdown would be a perfect option to bring in to the arcade playlist, along with Sugar Fright, Doctor's Curse, Mute Protocol, and Containment. So these are game modes that you could easily bring in to this playlist and just have it on a rotation. I don't know how they're going to do it, if it's going to be weekly, daily, every couple of days, I don't know, or just a different game mode every time you load in. However, I do see a problem with this, and that is that you've got your quick match, you've got your unranked, you've got your ranked, and you've got your team deathmatch, but also you're now going to have another playlist that is basically a slightly different team deathmatch with a bit more variety that might actually be more interesting than playing team deathmatch. At that point, is team deathmatch just going to become irrelevant in Rainbow Six Siege? However, I do have another possibility, which I think is far, far less likely, but would be so cool. That would be the return of Outbreak into this playlist. Now, years ago, during an FAQ, people asked if Outbreak could ever return, and developers at that time said no. The reason is they said that this game mode was developed so early in Siege's life, so it was actually developed in year 2 of Rainbow Six Siege and launched at the very beginning of year 3 for Operation Chimera. And as such, the foundation of the game has changed so much that you can't just bring this back without a huge amount of work to do so. So I'm kind of thinking, be kind of cool if they put the effort in, brought it back, and had it in this actual arcade playlist, and that would be pretty damn cool. It'd also, I think, fit the theme of the playlist as well. Another even less likely option here as well is that you could rework Article 5, which is the cooperative mission and the only story mission in Rainbow Six Siege. And I would love to see that come back because it's still in the game. You can still try and play it, but you'll usually just queue up and never find a game of it, unfortunately. However, like I say, rework it a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. You could totally throw that into the arcade playlist. And if you wanted to take it even a step further, you could make a mission which is more based on the current lore or something like that and replace Article 5 with something more modern. But again, I think that's very unlikely. I think bringing back old events, which are basically similar to the arcade playlist kind of game styles, where it's just simple kind of TDM stuff, I could see that totally working, and I think there's a good chance that might be what they're going to go after. Now let's talk about the very controversial rework to Frost. So we did get to see gameplay of this during the reveal, and it's definitely interesting. So the actual attackers will be able to self-revive in Frost traps. And of course, at the reveal, this got massive boos. However, the catch was that once you self-revive, you will of course have low health, but also you have a debuff that lasts a very long time, which means you cannot run. So you'll only be able to move at walking speed, and you'll also be leaving a trail of blood. Now that blood trail was huge. It looked like the injured trail you normally get on a player, but they can move a lot further. I assume this is early development, so it'll be probably a more subtle blood trail in the final release. So this is a fundamentally massive change to Frost. It means that when you get injured, normally another attack would have to come across and help you. Kind of takes two people out of the fight for a little bit of time, if of course the Frost or other players don't kill the person in the Frost mat or set up an ambush to take out both players. So what it ends up doing is putting this operator still at risk. The attacker is still in a very bad position. However, they have the chance to get away, and they also have the chance to fight back. Even if they can't run, they still have a perfectly workable weapon. And it really comes down to what your opinion on this is, because some people are loving this idea, and of course some people are hating it. And I'm just interested to see what it'll play like. They also got a huge negative reaction to this at the reveal, which I do not think they were expecting to get. And as such, it's possible they will tweak it before we see it again at the new season reveal. And now let's move on to the next big feature, which is the shooting range. So this is getting a significant upgrade, and I think it's very, very good. Right now, I very much enjoy the shooting range. It's very handy to go into, but I don't spend much time in there, and I don't think it's particularly the most useful as it is right now. But now we're going to have moving targets to shoot at, and we're going to have those little balls floating around as well, so you can get your aim training going. So this, I think, is going to be wonderful for warm-up, and I could easily see people using the shooting range 10 times more than they currently do. So I'm really glad to see them continue to add content to the shooting range, and this is only actually a little step towards the rest of the stuff this year. So next season, in season 3, where they're going to be adding the ability to go in and play little custom missions on the shooting range that are very, very simple from the looks of it, but they'll allow you to play out a little scenario with the operators, and hopefully they'll have a scenario for every operator so you can kind of learn how their gadgets work. And then the final feature coming in season 2 is a rework to Consulate, and it looks pretty significant. So first of all, Consulate has been buffed in the past. If you remember back in the day, they used to do reworks and map buffs, and Consulate was one of those first map buffs. And that meant it was changed a little bit, but not enough to really call it a rework. And the biggest change back then was the one objective site, which is now on 2 floors, which used to be on 1 floor before, and a whole list of tweaks. Whereas this time it's a full-on rework, and they are significantly changing stuff. Unfortunately, some of the stuff they're changing is actually the bits that I love the most. So for instance, that really kind of tight balcony where the attackers can go, I love fighting on that as an attacker, and that is getting completely changed. It's going to be a soft wall, a far larger area. It'll probably be far more interesting to actually play. They're also changing the garage as well, which is now going to be open with a whole bunch of different cover there. So unfortunately, the old days of doing like bandit tricking and stuff on that wall is gone, and I very much enjoyed playing around with Kaid and Bandit on that wall. So again, I'm going to be very sad to see that go. You'll also notice there's a lot less external windows, so a lot of the runout opportunities that you had in the current Consulate, they appear to be going away, and the internals are getting changed up quite considerably. So we'll see how this plays out. I am looking forward to playing this though, and it's always good to get a complete change up on a map and have something new to learn. And this is the only reworked map this year. There is going to be a new map for Season 4, but this is the only reworked map for the entire year. But anyway guys, that's what you can expect from Season 2 of Rainbow Six Siege. So I'd love to know what you think about this in the comments below. And like I say, the full reveal is coming on May 7th. So it is coming very, very quickly. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.